like yourself again? Call Naturopathic Physicians Group at 480-451-6161. That's 480-451-6161. Or go to naturopathicgroup.com.
I'm Angela Gonzalez reporting from Phoenix. We're talking with the community about Phoenix Police Department. Ma'am, what do you think?
Oh, I love them. They're our local heroes. We've had some problems around here with break-ins and people using drugs on the streets. The police work with our community to have a presence in our neighborhood and keep our streets safe.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Gracias a la Policía de Phoenix.
Thank you, Phoenix Police.
Rise to serve. Find more today at joinphxpd.com. Protect and serve with the elite.
Sponsored by the City of Phoenix.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
Welcome back to Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me is my co-host, our betting expert, Dylan Cohen. We're going to talk about a lot of things NBA today. We're going to talk about the Lakers and the Cavs and Bronny scoring in garbage time and the Suns taking on the Clippers tonight. We've also got Thursday night football, by the way. We're going to get through that a little bit later on in the show because that's coming up right after the blender, right after this show. What is this show? This show is a show where you get to jump on the text line, interact with us, and we interact with you. We love to hear about your bets. We love to hear about your teams. Is it going well? Is it going poorly? Let us know. You're on the Fanatic text line at 888-368-1580. But before we get to any and all of those things, Dylan, who powers the show?
We are powered by Sport Trade, and make sure you tune in for Beat the Book tomorrow because just like the last few weeks here, Sport Trade is still running their weekly contest, and the prize is a $100 Amazon gift card along with $50 in cash sent to your Sport Trade account for you to gamble with. And all it takes is a text submission to us, and we'll go over the rules again tomorrow, but it is going to be for you to guess what the implied probability percentage is for the Arizona Cardinals to win on the money line at halftime of their game this coming Sunday against the Chicago Bears. So again, that is something that we will begin to accept those text submissions tomorrow. I do not start shooting away with those guesses right now. And we will accept those submissions starting tomorrow all the way through the kickoff of that game on Sunday. So another chance to win some prizes. And of course, there's some great picks given out on this program and on the Beat the Book website. Those are other ways you can leverage those bets to win some more money for yourselves. If you don't know how to get to the Beat the Book website, there's a couple of different ways you can get there. You can follow me on Instagram. The account is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. Just click the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the Beat the Book website. So that way you can see what the bets of the day are to make. You can also get there by just visiting 1580thefanatic.com. Scroll down, click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo, and that'll take you right to the same place so you can see what those picks are. So that way you can tail those bets. And Keon, there was a bet that I was pretty adamant about yesterday. And this has just been my whole experience with the MLB postseason.
Yeah,
so
specifically the postseason, because the regular season went pretty well for you. We had some big games. I think the very first time I was introduced to the concept of laddering was just a monster day laddering. I can't even remember whose hits, but it over the course of the season, we had a really good run. And then the postseason started and the troubles began because there was no reliable trend or stat in baseball you could lean on. Freddie Freeman to take a home run last night was, I believe, what you were insisting on. And of course, that does not happen. The day you say to the day you say that it does. If you had made that decision going back to a couple of games before,
game 1, game 2, game 3,
game
4.
4, if you'd gone back all the way to 2021 and decided to go and do that for the last couple games of that Braves series in the World Series, you would have still been more correct. But it just seems like the universe, when it comes to baseball picks for you, it hates you, man. I don't know why.
Between that or when I write a very lengthy blog post about why you should bet against the Chicago White Sox, that was like another one where the baseball gods would just come in and be like, not today.
Not today. Obviously, your well documented vendetta with the entire city of Baltimore. Also,
that one came through.
Those. It came through, but in
Later.
terms of the original hatred came from a bet that did not come through.
That's true.
And then you predicted like some kind of Old Testament prophet that they would not be winning anything in the postseason and would in fact get nowhere near a World Series, and then they didn't.
So it did all come back around, but that was where I was like, okay, you know what, I got my win with how things panned out for the Orioles. So now I'm just gonna I'm gonna ride off into the sunset, and then I got lured back by Freddie Freeman hitting 4 consecutive home runs in this World Series. So that did not come through yesterday, but it did not matter. The LA Dodgers were able to defeat the New York Yankees. Final score 7-6. Dodgers are your World Series champs. And I know me and all the Arizona D-backs faithful here are not really happy with the end result, but I'm just glad it's over at this point.
Yeah, but is there a result that would have made you happy? Because the other result, I mean, like, you might hate the Dodgers more if you're a Diamondbacks fan, but I promise you, Yankees fans, can be annoying anywhere. I know this. I used to be one. You'll always find some Yankees fan somewhere that's just like, oh, good. It's you guys.
I'm happy you brought that up because I want to ask you a question, and we haven't actually talked about this yet. So take yourself back to your Yankees fanhood, and imagine that you're in Yankee Stadium. You're sitting right along the first baseline, kind of further back where sometimes those foul balls are gonna go. And let's just say you were sitting on the railing, and there was a ball that was coming your way, but Mookie Betts was also running towards you trying to catch it. And let's just say like you stuck your hand out because it was kind of in your personal space bubble a little bit, but maybe it was still sort of fair for Mookie to grab it. And then Mookie ends up grabbing it. Like, would you try and rip that ball out of his glove?
No, for so many reasons. One, it just seems entirely inappropriate. At that point, he has the ball. That the play is over. He's got the ball. Can't make anything happen after that. But 2, I could actually make things worse for my team. Like if for whatever reason I got the ball loose and now and there was nobody on base at the time, but if there was a runner that advanced to third or advanced home, the umpires are not going to allow that to stand. So I think in a lot of ways I can put my team at a bigger disadvantage going too far. Just try to catch the ball. Once you have failed to catch the ball, the play is over for you. Just let it go. Let it go.
And if you haven't already connected the dots on this, I'm talking about what actually did happen.
The 2
real life
goobers that tried to pry the ball loose from Mookie Betts' glove, and then failing that, just tried to wrench the glove off of his hand, which is also not okay. You can't do that.
Well, so obviously those guys, they get kicked out of the arena. They were gone for the rest of the game, and they're getting a little bit of celebrity right now. Some of them are making the rounds on different podcasts, and I'm seeing different reels where they're interviewing these guys, and like the way that they talk about this incident, it's actually kind of hilarious. Like the main guy that was ripping the ball out of the glove and trying to like take the glove, the way that he phrased what he was doing was he said he was patrolling the wall. Like he's some kind of paid guard or something.
Yeah, like the Night Watch in Game of Thrones. Like you're just watching for White Walkers. No, I don't want this. This is silly. You're not patrolling the wall. You just bought really nice seats that you're jeopardizing by trying to get involved with a play that does not have anything to do with you outside of your cheering. That's your job. Cheer.
So, I mean, I take you at your word when you're talking about the extent that Yankee, fans can go to.
Yankee. I mean, you can say it about the Yankees, but like my grandma used to live in New York, so we were in New York all the time. So I got to like be around just New York sports fans all the time. I listen to New York sports radio, which for anybody that wants to know why I yell so much, that's part of it. Not gonna lie, grew up listening to that. That's what radio sounds like over there. Don't know if that's a thing that you all like or not, but like they're all crazy. Knicks fans, Jets fans, Giants fans, Mets fans, Yankees fans. They're all a little like there's just a few screws loose because you kind of have to living in New York and liking those teams. Like you already think very highly of yourself and you're already aware that nobody likes you because you think very highly of yourself. So you just double down on it. And that's most of New York sports.
Well, why don't we jump over to another tortured fan base?
All right.
The LA Lakers.
Wouldn't call the Yankees a tortured fan base, but most if you just go to New York sports in general.
Well, that's true. That's true. They're just there.
Oh no, because Yankees fans will remind you constantly that they have 27 championships. They deserve what they're getting.
Well,
they deserve.
The LA Lakers yesterday took a trip over to Cleveland, Ohio, to take on the team that drafted LeBron James way back in the day. And this was a spot where the Lakers actually have had a lot of success once they signed LeBron within this matchup. LeBron had won 5 out of 6 games going back to Cleveland since he signed with the Lakers. And the Lakers did not get the job done yesterday. Final score 134-110. Cavaliers just took control very early in the first quarter. The whole team just shooting the ball very well, especially from distance. LeBron ended up finishing with 26 points. Anthony Davis had arguably his worst game of the season. He only managed 22 points in this one. He got kind of like poked in the eye in the first quarter. I don't know if that kind of messed with him throughout it. And then also just being down like 20 for most of the game. I mean, JJ's not going to play you heavy minutes in the fourth, but someone else got some time in the fourth quarter in this one. Someone that we've talked about at length on this show, and this person finally got their first career points in the NBA. We're talking about LeBron James Jr. Bronny James got some time in this one in the garbage minutes towards the end once the game was out of hand. So he was not playing with his dad, of course, but he was able to knock down a jump shot. He did get his first career points. And this is kind of the next rung on the ladder of the things that the NBA and the media need to get out of this whole arrangement of Bronny being in the NBA with the contract that he has, with the spot that he's got on this Lakers roster. So we're already seeing it right now. I mean, Keon, you brought up with me how you were seeing these graphics of like side by side, LeBron's first shot, Bronny's first shot. Look at how similar they are.
Yeah. Even though they clearly had to dig through a pile of LeBron James film just to find something that looked vaguely similar. Yeah, it was just, I feel bad because I feel like I'm down on him for just having a big moment that anybody in the NBA would love to have, which is you're scoring your first points as a professional athlete. That's amazing. But also the way it's not him I'm annoyed with. It's the way all of this is being covered that just bothers me, because it wasn't just the graphics. I mean, you could find the ESPN highlights and they're doing it. And, you know, like when have we ever seen a guy drafted late in the second round scoring points in garbage time on a highlight in a game he was not even remotely a factor in, except for this? It's insane.
It feels very forced, and obviously it is very.
And it
forced.
is, yeah. It feels that way because it is that way.
But like, you know, you're pulling up these side by side comparisons, and it's here's Bronny's first points, and then here's his dad's first points, and like his dad's first points came off of a jump shot that was taken in the first quarter of the game because he was starting, because he was one of the best players on the team that deserved to be there, that didn't have a father that could have, you know, got him into the league, you know, using a lot of his own influence. I mean, it was someone that got there on their own merits completely. And that's just been the whole thing with this whole Bronny situation, is just calling out the very obvious dynamic of it all, which is that he's taking a spot that someone else rightfully should have.
And someone else who is much closer to being an actual help to this team could have. He's not close. All right. And I don't want to see another like father, like son thing on the 4-letter network. I'm tired of seeing it. Bronny played 5 minutes. He was 1 of 2. The second shot that he missed was horrifically. Look, it just makes my head explode. I don't think anything right now in sports is making me angrier than that.
Now, if you don't listen to the advice of this show and you happen to take a bet on Bronny James to get like over 1.5 points last night, shoot us a text. Let us know. We want to hear about this kind of success.
Because we've been warning against that. They put the props out there every day that Bronny plays, that he's available to play. Bronny over 1.5, Bronny over half sometimes. And most days he doesn't get there because he's not playing. It has to be some lopsided blowout, and they have to force feed him the ball to get him the kinds of looks that it would take for him to score even one basket.
Well, and the scenario that he got to play in yesterday is really the only kind of scenario that is going to create a realistic opportunity for him to score. Because typically, if the Lakers are going to have a scenario where they can put LeBron and Bronny together, then what we've seen for that is it's going to be sometime in the second quarter. The Lakers have to be up double digits. Like those are like the two conditions where if those two things are met, then there's a chance that Bronny will play not in garbage time. He'll play during a time where his dad will also be on the floor. But if he's playing during that time in the game, he's more than likely going up against very capable players on the opposing team that see him for the weakness that he is, and they take advantage of that, which is why you don't see him score during those times in a game. It would require him to be in a game during garbage time when either the Lakers are up 20 or 30 points or down 20 or 30 points, where you're just playing out the rest of the time on the clock. And for what it's worth, it's meaningless basketball. So that's what he got yesterday. If you're someone out there that's really intent on betting on Bronny James, then just know that that's the kind of situation that you'd be looking for to count on him to put some points up. Because otherwise, in those second quarter spots where he's playing with dad, I mean, those are going to be the most brutal parts of a game for him to actually come in and make a contribution and put some points up.
Yeah. Kum on the text line, by the way, saying Bronny will be all rookie team, no doubt. There's no chance. Listen, I understand that sports writers are involved, and anytime that's the case, things get a little there is zero chance. No. I will have a personal atomic meltdown, but it's okay because it's not going to happen because it's not happening.
It's not going to happen. However, his teammate Dalton Connect, that's now, someone
Dalton will be.
Well, and he's at least getting the opportunity. I mean, that's half the battle for these rookies. It's just being in a place where they can get regular, consistent minutes and carve out, a role for themselves. So that way they can showcase what they can do. And Dalton Connect, for as late of a draft pick as he fell to in the first round, for the kind of opportunity that JJ Redick and the Lakers coaching staff are trusting him with, I mean, he's following through. And another one, just to throw out there, since we're on this topic right now, Ryan Dunn. I mean, look at what he's accomplished through the first 4 games and, where that might lead to by the end of the season, because he's well on his way right now to, being one of the more overachieving rookies from this class so far.
And Connect is everything I thought he would be as a scorer, as a shooter. He played at Tennessee. I have friends that were covering Tennessee when he was there. And there's just an amazing shooter of the basketball and very efficient last night, by the way, 22 minutes, 18 points for Dalton Connect. But you look at what Ryan Dunn has done. Dunn is better than I thought he would be. And I think that's the thing that's surprising me about him is you knew the defense was going to be there. That's the calling card. But the offense and the offensive opportunities, those have been fantastic too. And I can't say, enough about how good he has been. Quick look at the text line. Lost Toby says, I lost a nice dub due to the San Jose Sharks winning. They played the Kings last night, right? If I'm remembering that correctly. Sharks aren't very good. So I'm sorry that I don't know enough hockey, so I can't really comment on it, but boy, that sounds brutal.
Yeah, Lost Toby knows what he's doing right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit brutal. All right. On the other side, we've got some NFL stuff to get to, and then maybe we'll circle back around to this NBA as well and give you some of our picks for tonight to wrap up the show. You're listening to Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com. It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down, now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is paired right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now the 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
Don't miss a minute of the action when Sun Devil football returns to Mountain America Stadium to take on Big 12 Conference rival UCF in ASU's annual Salute to Service game. Levitt keeps the ball, takes off and runs to the left, to the 10, to the 5. Levitt dives for the end zone. Touchdown Devils! A 17-yard run by Sam Levitt. Get your ASU UCF tickets today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com. Download our free sports app and stay up with all the latest sports news, scores, highlights, and more.
Or
Stream us live anywhere
at 1580thefanatic.com.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Arizona's home for sports.
And we are back. Lost Toby back at it again on the text line saying the season, they started, I think is what he meant to say, the season 0-9. They won a game and had a back-to-back. I thought there's no possible way they win 2 in a row. So I went against my team. Oh, no. I'm always willing to bet they won't win 2 in a row again this season. Yeah, that would be my guess. If you start off 0-9, you were already not winning games in the first place, but then that's just not a particularly advantageous position for you.
Yeah, that hurts because I mean, at first it was kind of sounding like they might be like the White Sox of like the NHL, but I mean, and like I didn't even write anything about them, yesterday, and then they just pull off a win. So, Lost Toby, you might just be better off fading all the Arizona teams, and either staying off yours or bet on them.
And I don't know what it is about fading the Utah team. I don't, because I haven't been watching them. I don't care. I'm going to be honest. The team has left.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
They don't have a name.
Exactly.
How could we refer to them as anything? So anyway, back to what we were trying to get to today. Before we get to Thursday Night Football, real quick, I do want to get into a little bit of Suns and Clippers. Before we move on to Jets and Texans. And, this is the team that refuses to leave the state of California. The Phoenix Suns, they have once again returned to play the Clippers for the second time this season after already having played the Lakers twice. So now they return to the scene of the first victory of the season for them, overtime victory. We know how it went, but what do you think this game tonight looks like, Dylan?
I think you're going to see a stronger performance out of the Phoenix Suns compared to this first game that they played against the Clippers back, last week for the season opener. Having some experience with the wall I think is going to be helpful in this case. I think that's just a dynamic where it's going to throw every single team, every single player off for like their very first time playing against it. But then, once you've experienced it a little bit, you'll be able to handle that whole dynamic a bit better. But then when you look at the actual matchup itself, one of the more exciting things that I was looking forward to betting on today, it's actually Yusuf Nurkic. And I'm not saying that I'm excited to bet on him to perform well. It seems like we've got a decent enough sample size right now to consider just taking his unders, and particularly on the rebounds. If you go to FanDuel right now and you're trying to look into player props for that Suns game, for most of the day, the options have been very, very limited as far as the player props go. I'm just double checking it now, but just before the show started, I was looking. They don't have a line on Nurkic. Even right now, they do not have. Oh, okay. No, they did finally just put one out. DraftKings had one. So Yusuf Nurkic tonight, line on rebounds, 8.5. And
that's tough.
It's tough, but the way that I'm looking at it is this guy going to play 20 minutes? Because like if he's
I don't know, but Bud does not like him that much. It's just clear the way that he plays and what Coach Bud wants from him. He doesn't like him nearly that much. And I don't know if it's because he's just not a good fit for what this is, or if there's an effort thing. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm just watching the Nurkic minutes shrink. And, Plumlee's getting a little bit more time. Obviously, when they go to the small ball lineup, Dunn has been playing a little bit at center. I wonder if we're just watching Yusuf Nurkic just get phased out of being a contributing factor on this team.
And to be completely honest, like this was something about the original trade that the Suns made for Nurkic that I really didn't like up front, was just in Nurkic's staying power, so to speak. And originally I thought that was going to be more health related because he struggled so much to stay on the floor. And then he did give us a solid season last year when you're talking about at least being available. I believe he played like 76 games. It was the most games he had played like over the last 5 years before. So, he did check that box off. But, now we've got a change in coaching. Now we've got a little bit of a change in strategy. And he's just not versatile enough to keep up within, where the NBA is evolving into. And
and it's weird because he seemed like he was a pretty versatile guy before. But I actually wonder, because you said the change in strategy, they're shooting more threes than they did last year. They were bottom 5 in the league in 3-point attempts. They're like a respectable 15, 16 in the league right now in just attempts. But 3-point rebounds go further. So they're not right around the basket. It's not your mid-range or your layup trying to, gather that back again. Long rebounds are typically harder for you to get if you're closer to the basket. And I wonder if that's the reason why Nurkic can't get effective rebounding going. And without that, like, what else does he offer you on the floor? Because he's not shooting in a way that stretches the floor. He's not being particularly consistent around the basket either. So like, what is the thing that you think is particularly holding him back in this scheme?
So within this actual scheme, I think it's his lack of kind of flexible physicality. So what I mean by that is he's a big, imposing physical center, and when we're playing the Joel Embiids of the world, the Jokic's of the world, those guys that are strong but not the fastest guys on the floor, he can match their pace. But that's not the archetype of every center in the league.
And I would argue not the archetype of most of them.
Correct. So, for example, tonight, Ivica Zubac, this man leads the league right now in rebounds, 13.5. He's averaging just shy of 20 points per game. He is 27 years old. He's in the prime of his career right now. His numbers are reflecting that. He's playing some of the best basketball he's ever played in his entire career. What we saw in that first game in the season opener was that Nurkic cannot hang with this guy. Plumlee couldn't necessarily hang with him either, but he did a much better job. And part of that is just because Plumlee is a little bit more athletic. He can definitely run the floor a lot better than Nurkic can. But then what's also happening too, and you did kind of foreshadow this a little bit, but in the crunch time situations when it's a 2-possession game and there's 5 minutes left, we're not even playing a traditional center in those minutes. We're going small ball. We're playing Ryan Dunn. We're playing Royce O'Neal, and we're leveraging pace. We're sliding Durant essentially to cover, the tallest guy that's on the floor.
Yeah, so he's kind of like the weak side help there as well. If you've got Dunn playing the 5, for instance, or O'Neal playing the 5, you can still have Durant be that weak side help defender, just in case, whoever it is that's there gets overpowered.
So that's where, if that ends up just being a better formula to winning all those close games that we weren't winning last year, where we were playing Nurkic through, those final 5 minutes all the way down to the wire, then you got to go with what works. And maybe it doesn't feel like the most intuitive way to run the team, especially when you've got Nurk on the books for like almost 20 million a season. It sucks.
As a coach, you can't think about that.
Right.
What is the winning roster? They paid that guy before I got here. So I can't build my strategy around, well, he's making this much money and that guy's making that much money. Like you said, whatever works. And Nurk right now ain't working.
So that's where, and look, I mean, maybe he comes out and we get like a Nurk game from last year where he's got 12 rebounds at halftime. And, it's not the Nurkic that we've had for the first, 4 games of this year. We'll have to wait and see. But I did say this before on, one of our earlier shows this week. This whole kind of feeling out period with Nurkic, it's not going to drag on. This isn't something that's going to last deep into the season. I do like the coaching regiment that we have here, just in terms of being decisive and not letting these kinds of things linger. We're going to do ultimately what's best for the team. We're not going to let Nurkic audition for his starting job for, half the season and then, try and make some tweaks before the stretch run in March and April for the postseason. We want to iron down what that best group of guys is to run with, and we want to give them as many reps as possible to be in the best place to compete, come April and, May for the earlier rounds of the playoffs. Outside of Nurkic, as far as betting opportunities go, someone that is not getting a lot of attention right now for the Los Angeles Clippers, actually, it's Norman Powell.
Mm-hmm.
His line on scoring is sitting at 19.5. And this is a mark that he's been able to get well over a few times already in the 4 games that the Clippers have played. So with Kawhi Leonard being out of the lineup, James Harden is depended upon to score. But that being said, he's not necessarily the only scorer on that roster. You have Zubac averaging very close to 20 a game. Right now, Norman Powell is averaging 26 a game. He just scored 30 points last night against the Portland Trailblazers. He had 37 on Denver last Saturday. He even had 20 points against the Warriors last Sunday. So he's been able to get that over his last 3 straight games. He had 17 against the Suns in that first game of the season. I would look for Norman Powell to get over on his points. That was one of the beat the book picks that I had posted on the website earlier. But if you want to take Suns on the money line, Suns first half money line, that's a great play. They have not lost a first half so far under Coach Bud. There's definitely some good opportunities to look at, on the betting side for this matchup.
And there you have it for the game tonight. That's the pick there. Golden Domer on the text line said, I bet the over on Bucks versus Grizzlies at 223.5 last night, all the way up to 232 now. He also called the Bucks, or he called the Grizzlies the now we don't play defense Grizzlies. You want to talk about 2 teams that have given up on the idea of playing defense this season? Those are a couple of them.
Well, and I don't know if Golden Domer happened to be watching the Grizzlies game last night against the Nets. I was actually tuned in on that one. The Grizzlies lost Marcus Smart and Desmond Bane in that game due to injury.
So the 2 guys that would actually try to play defense are also no longer there. Golden Domer, you're off to a fantastic start. Oaktown Destroyer on the text line saying, I guess I needed the app to win the $100 gift card last week because I thought I said 17%. Oaktown Destroyer, you sent in that 17% on the 18th. The winner was from picking the 25th. The game that we gave the gift card away recently was for the 27th. I don't have a 17% text from you for last week. The week before you did, but you were wrong. There was a number closer than yours. So if you're gonna say 17% every week, Oaktown Destroyer, my recommendation is that you make sure you actually send that in every week. Don't send it in once and assume that that applies to the following week, because clearly it does not. But I appreciate you listening. You don't need to get the Sport Trade app. The Sport Trade app is actually for the $50. The gift card is just for
anyone.
Yeah. If you
as long as you have an email address,
yeah,
you're eligible.
You just have to have that pick sent in for the correct week, though. You didn't send in the 17% last week. You sent that in 2 weeks ago. Big Jake also sends me an image here. No actual. Oh, it's his bet for tonight. All right, he's got Durant. This is the parlay from Big Jake. He's got Durant to score 20 plus. He's got the over in the game, 221. He's got Ivica Zubac to record 6+ rebounds, Kevin Durant to get 4+ rebounds, and Devin Booker over 33.5. I believe that's points, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah.
And then use a little profit boost there from the FanDuel for a bet that is plus 464, $25 wager to win 141.
I like that bet. I like all of those props. Kevin Durant, he's got 3 straight games of 30 plus. So, I mean, taking him at 20, that sounds like a lock to me. The Devin Booker PRA, that's another good play. You know, the thing with Booker is it's so difficult to bet his points right now because he did get over 30 in his last game, but his points have been, lagging in some of those other games before.
And a lot of that is you're sharing the ball with other people. And
I mean, the Suns are winning, so definitely not complaining about that.
As far as their starting lineup goes, you can complain about depth if you'd like. They're loaded as starters. And so, there's just going to be Durant nights, Booker nights, Beal nights. There's going to be nights where these guys score 24, 22, and 17. That seems to be pretty much around where they're at.
Well, and that's where, if Booker isn't scoring, then he's definitely rebounding the ball. He's definitely getting assists. He's always making sure he's going to be involved one way or the other. So, no, especially with using the profit boost there to, get that payout up a little bit more. Definitely like that play. So good luck on that one.
Yeah, let us know how it does. All right, let's go ahead and use the remaining time we have in this segment to open up the conversation of Jets Texans, and then we'll wrap this up and close it out on the other side and get to the picks. So Jets Texans tonight.
Yeah, I've got a really urgent I don't get this. So, and Keon, I did ask you this before, but I think this can be a really good conversation, especially with anyone that wants to text in and chime in. Why in the world are the Jets the favorite in this one on the money line?
They're at home and they are seen as an underachieving team right now. So it's not because football is a volatile game. So you can't really say because a team's had a bad couple of weeks, that's the trend. They're that now. That's not necessarily the case for the Jets. They have the talent to win games. Even the last couple of games that they lost, they were in those games. They had the opportunity to win those games. They lose to the Patriots 25-22. They were in that game. And were it not for a missed field goal and Aaron Rodgers missing 2 deep shots, maybe that game ends differently. They were playing the Steelers the week before. They got dusted in that game. But the game before that, where they were playing the Bills, rather, they were in that game too, and a couple of missed field goals away from winning that game. So the Jets are 0-3 since firing Robert Saleh. They are 0-2 since trading for Devontae Adams. But you have to think that this team is good enough to win a game at some point. And if they're playing at home and they're playing a Texans team that just kind of offensively doesn't look great, yeah, you're looking probably at an advantage for the Jets there. Just betting, that's just kind of, I don't know. This is just how I've seen it priced. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm just saying those are the kinds of factors that seem to play into that. When you've got a team that's struggling, but they're playing at home on a short week, you kind of favor that team as well. Those are some of the things there. If someone else knows more than me or better than me, then absolutely.
Well, and that's just kind of my main thing is I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here because, I look at this one and I'm naturally leaning pretty hard one way towards the Texans. And, if you pull up this game on ESPN and if you scroll down to the bottom of the preview page, it'll show both the teams last 5 games, and the results. So I'm just staring at a whole bunch of red for the Jets. Loss, 5 in a row. yes, 4 out of those 5 losses look like they were, one possession games, essentially, one score games.
And that's what the line is. The line is essentially saying it's going to be a one score game, and it's not even the full 3. It's like 2.
It's like 2.5, right? So then on the other side with the Texans, you have a lot of green. You have 4 wins out of your last 5 games. That one loss being against Green Bay, which happened in the final seconds where they had the win, and then they gave up a late field goal to lose. And that just the way that we're saying 4 out of these 5 Jets losses could have been wins, that one Texans loss could have been a win as well. Now, obviously, the Texans lost Stephon Diggs. That's brutal. They're going to be without Nico Collins, but he is coming back, I believe, next week. So, on the horizon, they're going to be okay as far as like wide receiver personnel goes. They still have Tank Dell. And when you look at just Thursday night football and records and trends, if it was something where it's like, oh, every away team so far this season has not been able to win Thursday night football, or if it was just like, oh, home teams have overwhelmingly dominated this spot, they're 6-2 or whatever. If there was something like that going on, I could start to come around and understand more about how odds makers are pricing this. But there's no trend like that. It's even 4 home wins, 4 road losses, and 8 Thursday night football games right now. So outside of Jets having the home field advantage, like I just don't really see what is giving them the edge.
Well, Golden Dome are jumping in to say in the conversation, remember that lines aren't set at what bookmakers think will happen, but rather designed to get equal bets from both sides. So, if
that's fair, but I'm also pretty sure that the line didn't start in favor of the Texans and then move to the Jets.
I wonder, how would you look that up?
Well, I can research that.
Yeah, because I actually probably think that probably did happen. If you're at -2, because most NFL games, if you're going to say the home team is the favorite, you open up at least at 3.
Okay, so it looks like it did actually open at Texans -1.
Yeah,
and then it moved,
which is already, if they're saying that you're the favorite on the road at -1, even though that's probably still not a great line, that's a bunch.
So
of
the
people.
Sentiment has always been that this is just going to be a really, really close game.
Yeah,
well,
because you're looking at all that green for the Texans. But if you looked at some of those games, they struggled against teams that are not good. They struggled against the Jaguars. They struggled against the Colts twice. This is a team that hasn't played like the Texans of last year. I would still pick them. They are still better at football than the Jets are. But this is not the last year's Texans team. This team's struggling a little bit more.
Well, both of these teams, what they do have in common is that 4 out of their last 5 games have all been decided by one score. You have one of these teams that managed to be on the right side of each of those games. You have another team that managed to be on the wrong side of each of those games.
Yeah.
So then you ask.
And so the sample size of football is as such that could flip, And so I don't think you get to be necessarily beholden to a 3-game sample size like that. That's really tough in this league, where we've seen teams start off, insanely badly and figure it out before. Not that I'm saying the Jets will.
No, but then again, I mean, and just to your point, we've seen strange things happen. The Jets lost last week. They were not supposed to lose last week.
I mean, granted, I picked them to lose because I don't trust that entire roster, farther than I could throw all of them combined, which isn't very far for those of you keeping count at home. So I think that, the Jets have been disappointing in a variety of different ways. But the Texans are a team that's struggling a little bit, and it's disguised by the fact that they're playing in a division of football that's just not very good. So it just seems like the Texans are not trusted the way that they were trusted a season ago. So we're going to wrap up this Jets-Texans conversation on the other side. Then we're going to get you the picks for today, and that'll do it for us. But first, let's pay some bills. You're listening to Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Asher back to tell you about my great friends at the Lund Mortgage Team. Did you know that the Lund Mortgage Team was founded back in 1999? That's right. They're celebrating 25 years in existence this year. And you know what you have to do to stay in business that long? You have to be good at what you do. And the Lund Mortgage Team is not just good, they are great. They have helped thousands of people save thousands of dollars over those 25 years here in the Valley of the Sun. They only lend in Arizona. And they're mortgage brokers, which means they can shop your rate around. They're not tied to just one set of rates. Mortgage rates can get crazy. They can get high. They can get low. There's good times to strike and there's times to stay on the sideline. Let the Lund Mortgage Team be your coach, be your team leader when it comes to these huge decisions. Call 623-875-9940. That's 623-875-9940, or you can always check them out at lundmortgage.com. Great website with all the tools you need. Call them today. They're my great friends, and you'll love them. It's the Lund Mortgage Team.
Mira, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
In most countries of the world, Forte means door. United Forte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
With all the school supplies your child will need over the years, it can be easy to overlook the most important one of all, money, which is a good reason to open an AZ 529 education savings plan. Whether you invest $15 or $150 a month, your money grows tax-free. By the time your little one is ready for college, vocational school, or workforce training, they'll have all the savings they need to get the job of their dreams. Visit az529.gov to get started.
This message is sponsored by the Office of the Arizona State Treasurer.
1580 The Fanatic.
And at 1580thefanatic.com.
Your home for sports.
So before we get to the end of the show here and get you those picks, let's talk a little bit more Jets Texans. You had some numbers that you were throwing at me during the break. And, you know, I like some of the numbers. I think I'm always a bigger fan of what do the numbers tell me about the collection of people I'm watching on the screen now. I know that there's some numbers about, you know, the Texans all time, but the Texans have been a team since 2000.
So, and this is all coming from like ESPN stats and information. They had a lot of similar observations as you did, Keon, just about like strength of schedule, and Jets record doesn't necessarily reflect how bad they are. And same thing, like Texans record doesn't reflect how good they are. So, I mean, there's a lot of that.
They've played a lot of divisional games. And like, I don't know if you've seen the AFC South. It sucks. Like, it's just the Colts are bad. The Jags are bad. And, you know, the Titans are bad. Like, you should be 6-2 if you've played enough divisional games. And I think they have, because I think they've played the Colts twice and the Jags once. So there's already like 3 games in there. And they didn't play well against any of those teams. They didn't play well against Jacksonville or Indianapolis in either game. So, and I think Indianapolis even won one of those games. It was just an ugly game. It's just been kind of an ugly season offensively for the Texans. They're getting it done. But I think some of those weaknesses that they had along that offensive line that they should probably still address, they're kind of showing up this season. And, you know, you got a second year of film on CJ Stroud and a second year of film of Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, and his offense. Like, yeah, you're going to regress a little bit. And I think the Texans have.
So there's some other trends here that they shout out. And I think these ones are the ones where it kind of gets a little bit more concerning. So the Jets are 0-4 outright against the spread against teams with winning records this season. The Jets are 0-3 against the spread when the line is between +3 and -3. and they are 3-12 against the spread in their past 15 games in that role. So the Texans are 5-1 against the spread as road underdogs under DeMeco Ryans. The Texans are 13-28-2 against the spread all time in primetime games. The Jets are 1-6 against the spread in their past 7 primetime games, and 7-16 against the spread in primetime games since 2016.
That tells me more, right? Like that's more indicative of the Jets roster and coaching staff than like what the Texans have done all time as a team ever. Because like they've existed for 24 years. Like some of those numbers are JJ Watt numbers. They had Matt Schaub at quarterback. Like I can't. It
was the Bill O'Brien.
I mean, there was some Deshaun Watson games in there. Like you just can't. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain level at which like a number goes back so far in time. I just can't trust it because it's not talking about the reality that I'm looking at directly in front of my face. Baker's cocky hands, though, saying in the NFL anything can happen, certainly, but I'm going to trust the team with the better coaching when things are fairly even. Otherwise. The Jets' current coaching staff was all hired by the guy they just fired, right? Ryans is a good coach. Go Stroud. And I agree with that, by the way. I'm not making the argument that you should take the Jets. I'm just saying the reason why the Texans would be priced as an underdog there would be, we need you to bet on the Jets. We're trying to offer you.
And Golden Domer hit the nail on the head there. I mean, the line did start in favor of the Texans. This is just where the money has moved things, for the books to, try and mitigate the risk because everyone just, was piling on the Jets. I mean, that's what ultimately drove the line in their favor. So, that's why at this point, when I look at this and, I'm not as versed of a NFL analyst, I would say, as Keon is. So someone like me without as much, kind of direct X's and O's knowledge of it, like I look at it and I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, one of these teams is much better than the other.
Is better, and the Texans, and to be clear, the Texans are better. Like that's not the argument we're having here. Though I do appreciate the input there, Baker's cocky heads. I think we all agree the Texans are the better team. But if you're looking at like why are they currently priced as the underdog, like that'd be why.
So there's some other picks that I definitely like in this one as far as player props go. Just moving away from who's actually going to win this thing. If you go over to total receptions right now for the receivers here in this game, Davante Adams, his line is 5.5. And to ask him to get 6 catches in this game, like on the surface, it doesn't seem like that much, but I mean, it's not reality. It's not like what we've seen over at least the last couple of weeks. So the line is leaning towards his under at 5.5. I love his under on this one. I think for him to even get 5 receptions in this would be kind of crazy. 6, I just don't see it happening. It's not the way that Rodgers has been leveraging him so far. I believe the Jets are going to be without Allen Lazard in this one, but I just don't see that translating into significantly more catches for Davante Adams. If anything, it will go to Garrett Wilson, and Garrett Wilson's line on receptions is at 4.5, leaning over. And that's one that I absolutely love the over.
I love the over on that too. Garrett Wilson has been the main beneficiary of Davante Adams showing up to the Jets. I mean, he still understands the playbook. He still has a better, more recently developed relationship with Aaron Rodgers. So like, there's still a lot of trust that's happening there. There are times where I think that like, you can just see the confidence is a little bit like I'm open, but I feel like you're not looking for me happening with Garrett Wilson. But overall, like him and Rodgers have been playing really well together. And it's having Davante Adams and having to account for what Davante Adams brings to a team has made life so much easier for Garrett Wilson that 4.5 receptions seems insanely low.
Yeah, I mean, he's very commonly in that 6, neighborhood.
Yeah, I believe he had 7 last week, and he was targeted 9 times. Like he's
well, and his targets too. That's actually really what I love about that play is he's very commonly getting like in the neighborhood of 10 targets, typically like a game. So for him to go out and just catch the ball 6 times, or in this case 5 times, because he's at 4.5, that should be a pretty good one. Other than that, Joe Mixon rushing yards. 4 out of his last 5 games, he has rushed for 100 or more yards. His
Revenge
line,
game, by the way.
and his line is only at 81.5 right now. So just feels pretty low. You can take his over. You can push him all the way to 100 yards. And just bet on Houston Texans money line. That's all I got, Keon.
Yeah, and by the way, the Jets have been absolutely not disastrous stopping the run, but they're 17th in the league, which when you look at the amount of money invested in that defensive line, not necessarily great. That's going to do it for us. You've been listening to Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic. Remember, we've got that contest coming in tomorrow. Tune in, send us your picks. We'd love to hear it. Catch you later.
I'm Taylor Kashadi with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Colts head coach Shane Steichen announced